fine. It's good.
So Gabe Hoffman thing is coming up tonight. Before Nick basically, because everything he says is a lie, so we're just assuming that he admitted to choke slamming his kid at a chiropractor. Before he did that, did you know what Gabe was going to talk about, or like was this discussed at all?
No.
So Gabe goes,
literally no.
and like everyone I've talked to about it, they've never mentioned this. Nobody has said anything. Gabe hasn't public.
There's more, but yeah, that is also a very specific thing to say.
Yeah.
What?
And he's like, it's a conspiracy. They looked into it and they said it did. Well, yeah, just because they looked into it and they couldn't prove it enough to charge you with anything doesn't mean you didn't do it. It's like the kid with the positive cocaine test. The kid testing positive for cocaine. Well, they didn't charge me for that because they can't prove how the kid got the cocaine. There's no way to prove
it was laying around everywhere, apparently, according to the body cam notes. So, I mean, it's not that far-fetched.
So he lies about the kid and the cocaine. He lies about, all this other stuff. You point out to him that April said he was emotionally abusive, and he just, no. And then he goes, Aaron was abusive. And she goes, actually, April said Aaron wasn't abusive. So, like, he lies about all this different stuff. And then he goes and says, apropos of nothing, nobody said anything. He gives this very specific instance. And how are we not?
Can I add one thing? He doesn't just lie.
Hey. Hi, Gino. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
All right,
I'm
now
a little hungover.
Do your thing.
He doesn't just lie. He uses these words that dumb people link onto. It's like, you shredded her privacy. Keanu's a monster. You dragged their name through the mud. And every dumb, are we on YouTube, that believes him is like, yeah, and I'm sorry, the antisocial, yeah, he did. She is a monster. And she did shred her privacy. And they dragged, no, you lying nobody. Stop believing his big fancy words.
They're not fancy. They're just so dramatic and wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought it was.
Just goes, you shredded her
shredded her privacy. Okay.
Sorry, I was back to the old Rumble Friday days where I could just throw the mic away and
let Gino get me banned on platform.
That's a good point. No, but so he comes up with this story of, Gabe, first of all, it was the most retarded way to, quote, get ahead of something I've ever seen.
What an idiot. This is why the Whippets have eaten away at his brain, clearly, because you cannot be this dumb. When does he ever spend time with his family? He does nothing but keyboard warrior all night long. Like, who do you think you're changing the mind of?
Yeah.
No one. Like,
yesterday someone tweeted something at me, so I tweeted back. I'm like, yeah, polycules are a disaster. I would applaud anybody who got out of one and pulled their head out of their ass at the right time. And he retweeted that and he was mad. He goes, you're 50%. You're only 50%, Dad. I'm with mine all the time. I'm like, and I wanted to write back, but I didn't need to stir him up anymore. I wanted to be like, I'd rather be 50% me than 100% you.
Oh my God.
Any day out of the week. But so he makes up this story about, he goes, Gabe, here's what Gabe's going to talk about. They said that I choke slammed my kid at a chiropractor, but I didn't. It's like, first of all, terrible idea to offer that up. Second of all, what if he doesn't bring that up? Third of all, that, like you said, that is way too specific. Nobody's going to make that story up. Do you understand, like, for a normal person in central Minnesota, to invent that story to cause all of these problems and to have to be interviewed by CPS and all this other stuff, nobody's just going to offer that up, dipshit. You're not that important to people. But
no.
he offers that up, and then he goes, but I never did choke slam him. I mean, who's going to believe him?
I never choke slammed someone at this specific chiropractor.
I don't know.
But apparently there's more, and we have a lot to go through.
Now, that's what I like about this. Gabe isn't telling you in advance what he's going to bring to you.
I texted him in the middle of the night after I saw it. Well, he texted that to me, the choke slamming at a chiropractor thing, which that will never leave my mind. That's unbelievable. And I said, well, that is oddly specific. He was like, you think? Yeah, Yeah, but no, and then we talked last night. So he's got there are other things that to be revealed.
Yeah, other allegations. Like Gabe's a real like hedge fund manager and investigative journalist. He's not going to take a shine to this on a whim and just have nothing. Like this is a guy who, when he picks a topic, he fully invests in it.
He's a professional. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which, as I've learned, and I honestly knew nothing about him. Actually, I've been up late trying to not research him, but like the whole, like everything, because it's like going back, 5 years of like internet lore and stuff that I had no idea about. So I'm there to learn. I'm excited to learn more.
Yeah.
So.
Like your job is to basically guide the whole thing. He starts going. Yeah. You ask a few follow-ups when you get curious. Did he make a bet when he got to like 100,000 live viewers during like Depp and Rittenhouse? Did he make a bet with someone that said, in the next decade, I can get this down to 0?
Yes, I think you know what? I want to have 0 people watching me. And I will do it this way.
Yeah.
In the most ridiculous, I don't know. It's got to be the Whippets. It has to be the Whippets.
This is easy.
Early people and late people.
No, this is easy. The etiquette is like this. If I need something and I don't get it and I don't get my way, then
you start screaming and yelling and,
yes.
and you say, we are in a sexual and very romantic relationship for a very long time. Oh,
dude,
no, that's not you.
I was with the chick for 4 years and that is not how I describe it. Like that's very odd.
God.
Like I was with her for, I'd say, yeah, we were in a relationship. We were married for about 2 years and, it was like a marriage is and, not like.
What would make him say such a thing? It's so embarrassing.
Drug abuse?
It's like, I don't know. That's why I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's lost it.
Well, and like everybody liked to play the clips where he would go off and then they'd cut to you and you're smiling from ear to ear.
I know, I'm still smiling about it. It just makes me giddy to watch him because I just think I don't wish him, like, I don't have any ill will. I think he really needs to get back to his roots. I think he really needs to just cut it out with all this bullshit, but he simply can't. And I don't think he's inherently a bad person, but he has been a really bad person as far as I'm concerned.
I've never said that anyone should become like a Hare Krishna or join like a Buddhist colony. I've never made that suggestion to someone. This might be the first time.
He should just be a monk.
Yeah, like maybe just become a monk.
And the cope I love that they have is like, well, everyone really won that argument, because Nick accomplished, he's like, he wanted to yell and scream at her. So, oh God, Moody. So I believe it was just cathartic for him. Okay. He really looks like he won that.
Here's how you know that Moody's a weaselly lying piece of shit, because
he's creepy.
Remove Nick and make it me. Would he have the same take?
Remove Nick and make, no.
Exactly.
See how I had to do the math on that one? They're going to be like, see, she's stupid. She's dumb.
Well, Aaron clearly is having a mental breakdown and he needs to be committed to a psychiatric facility immediately.
It's insane. The coping is insane. He's like, I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. I wanted to yell and scream, and that is what I did. No, you lost your shit because you knew I was right, and I showed you who you were, and you were like, I have to go. No, wait, I'll come back. No, I'll do a whip it. He got even worse after that horrific debacle of an appearance. My God.
I got to be honest. You guys stole my thunder because I was Captain Jizz Eater for a while there, and I just fell off radar once you girls came along.
Oh, there you go.
Now all of a sudden, my breath is clean. My teeth are,
I like that you bring it up again.
Why not? I mean, it's so ridiculous. Why not?
It is ridiculous.
Like, I would, if I thought for a second that maybe in some drunken drug binge, maybe I possibly could have done that, I would keep it quiet for the rest of my life. But because it's so ridiculous, I'm like,
it is ridiculous. Oh my God. And that they show this bizarro text at this festival of incels with this fridge, and then the body cam notes come out, and then the fridge was covered in blow, and like I don't get, like, it's not, maybe in like 10 years it might be funny. It's not funny yet, Nick. You're like, it's still like really traumatic and awful, I assume, what happened.
And it's more traumatic and awful because you won't come to grips with it. Like you say, it could be funny in 10 years. Shit, it's all funny to me now. Why? Because I went through a deep shame spiral of admitting what I did, admitting what happened, and then you work through it. Dude, it only takes like a year for you to be able to like laugh your balls off about it. But he doesn't want to do the work.
But if you never take accountability, then you know, it's just he left it was Mother's Day weekend. He's like, I'm gonna bring this fridge to this festival. Like,
dude, he's running off to Vegas with the cuck fridge on Mother's Day weekend. Shit, I even got my ex-wife a small trinket for Mother's Day. I mean, you're running off to Vegas, and Jesus Christ, man.
You're a reasonable human being.
With my fridge. If I would have known they were going to put cocaine all over it, I would have taken my fridge with me. That would have made a nice little garage beer fridge. So what are you expecting? Not expecting, but surely you've thought about it. With the talk with Gabe tonight, how deep do you think it's going to go? What are your theories?
He seems like a pretty funny guy too. I like to try, and it's such a disturbing topic. So we'll keep it as light as possible and entertaining, but I am open to hear whatever he has to say. I know a good bit of it, as you all sort of do, and can assume. But I think it'll be a lot about going back, about the lore, and maybe some sources and like what he did for his investigation, which is really
sure.
I think that'll be interesting.
Has anyone reached out to you with their own stories since I know Gabe's probably overshadowed it, like he's the guy to go to, but since you're doing the interview, has anyone like spoken to you that you didn't speak to before who's like, oh, I know this?
I keep getting videos and tagged and things.
Okay.
Yeah, a bit. So, and then I ask him, I'm like, what is this? Oh, and by the way, Gabe is willing, like, if you he is willing to answer anything. So I said, is there anything you don't want to, like, if somebody's because Mersh was saying something like, I want everyone to flood them with super chats with this specific question. I'm like, I don't know what this is. He's like, make the money. I'll answer anything. So if anything is on the table, you can ask him anything, but you who will answer immediately for $20 or more. That's what he said.
Right.
And then we'll get to the other ones. Yeah.
Gabe Hoffman exposed the shit out of Mersh and really kind of made him sensitive, and they had a whole back and forth. So I can see, and Mersh is also like, in fairness to him, he's like chief sweeper at this point. He's like big time covering.
Yeah, and I've had very limited contact with him. He seems maybe a bit troubled, to say the least. Yeah.
I would say Mersh, he had his vehicle repossessed on air. He was on air and his vehicle was getting repossessed. He had to leave and come back, and he was just really flustered by the whole.
I think I did hear that. But see, it's like me going back over like 5 years of lore, and I'm just watching all night all this stuff, and I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What is all this shit? But very, very interesting.